Today we will be palpating the hamstrings as a group. The hamstrings consist of three muscles: the biceps femoris, the semitendinosus, and the semimembranosus. Perhaps the most convenient thing about the hamstrings is the fact that they all possess the same origin, at the ischial tuberosity, except for the short head of the lateral lip of the linea aspera. What is perhaps most challenging is the palpation of the individual muscle bellies and tendons. A good reference is to realize that the biceps femoris will be the most lateral of all the muscles. While the patient is lying prone, we will palpate the biceps femoris from the ischial tuberosity all the way down to the head of the fibula. Before specifically palpating the muscle group, you want to introduce yourself to the client and practice caution because, this area is not exactly fair game for most people. So, show some respect. Here, we are palpating the biceps femoris. Our starting point is the ischial tuberosity. We trace it down to here. Time out. It is important to know that the biceps femoris possesses both a long head and a short head. The long head originates at the ischial tuberosity, and this is where the short head originates, at the lateral lip of the linea aspera. Both the long head and the short head insert right here into the head of the fibula. Palpating the semitendinosus and semimembranosus will be more challenging. The semitendinosus is more superficial and therefore lies on top of the semimembranosus. So to palpate this muscle, we follow from the ischial tuberosity all the way down towards the medial tibial shaft at the pes anserius tendon. If you wish to get a better view of the insertion, ask the patient to lie supine. In most cases, you will want to avoid palpating contralaterally. We have stated that the semimembranosus lies deep, but it is also slightly more medial than its counterpart. We palpate from the ischial tuberosity again and move slightly more medial than last time, and palpate the insertion at the medial condyle of the tibia. Next, the muscle actions will be demonstrated. Luckily, they are all relatively the same. Flexion of the knee is unanimous among each of the hamstring muscles, as well as extending the hip at the coxal joint. Time out. For the biceps femoris, we will laterally rotate the flexed knee, and for the semitendinosus and semimembranosus, the patient will medially rotate the flexed knee. Lastly, the sciatic tibial branch will act as the innervation for each of the muscles, with the exception of the short head of the biceps femoris, which is innervated by the sciatic peroneal branch. Next, we will be demonstrating uses of the hamstrings for activities of daily living. Here, we have something as simple as riding a bicycle. You may never forget how to ride one, but having a group of inefficient hamstrings may prevent an individual from pedaling altogether. Whenever we push the pedals back, we are actively performing flexion at the knees opposite of gravity and a concentric contraction while the hamstrings are controlling the movement. Next up, although discrete, a motion as simple as closing a car door with your foot is controlled by the hamstrings. There will be extension at the hip, moving opposite of gravity, and a concentric contraction. All right, get ready to get sweaty, because now we are going to explore the use of the hamstrings on athletic motions. First up, we will examine the prone leg curl. In this exercise, we observe flexion at the knees in opposition of gravity, so the contraction is concentric. The hamstrings, of course, are the ones controlling the primary movement. For the next and final motion, we will examine the swinging of the kettlebell. For this motion, we can see that the individual is swinging the kettlebell up as he goes from hip flexion into hip extension, opposite of gravity, and a concentric contraction. Here the hamstrings shorten and are controlling the motion. Now when the kettlebell goes down, he's performing hip flexion, while the bell moves with gravity and an eccentric contraction. The hamstrings lengthen and control the movement. And this concludes our video presentation on the hamstrings. Thanks for stopping by, neighbor.